Hi everybody, I'm back with another video. The first video I made, it was about a week ago, and it was on giving your burdens to God. If you want to learn more about burdens, I did write a blog or a little article, and in it, it just talks about what burdens are, where they came from, how everybody has them, but it should be our personal responsibility to investigate, what type of burdens we carry or are prone to carrying, how big they are, where they came from, how they limit our mobility and where we're headed, and then what to do with them. So if you are curious about that and you want to learn more, I'll provide a little link to that article. And when you click on the link, you'll have to scroll down a little bit to actually find the article. The last video I talked about a personal burden I didn't realize I was carrying until a couple of weeks ago. For me, one big one is hyper independence. And I talked about my awareness, the process of me becoming aware of that burden, but I didn't talk about what happened afterwards and some of the things leading up to it. So I did want to do a part 2 video just to elaborate on, okay, I know what my burden is. I know how it impacts me and why I can't continue carrying this burden, but what do I do with it afterwards? So for me, I didn't realize how independent I was until I was towards the end of my graduate school experience, and I'm working hard trying to get my internship hours, and nothing was working out. Okay. I talked a little bit about that in my last video. So if you want more context, go ahead and revisit that one before you watch this one. But yes, I always thought my independence was a part of my personality, and I viewed it as a strength. And in some ways and in some situations, it was. But it had gotten to a point where it was hindering me and hurting me more than it was helping me, and it was weighing me down. Because I'll give a little bit more context. When it came to me being hyper independent, I was just trying so hard to get something done, and I did not ask the Lord for help. And so if you know and love Jesus, I'm definitely going to talk about that. And if you're curious about it, I'm going to bring it up in these videos as well, because it's just a part of my identity. It's a part of my values. It's infiltrated in how I think about things and how I respond to things. So it's kind of impossible for me to not talk about or integrate it in my videos, especially on a topic like this. But as a Christian, I was hyper independent, and there were many times when I was leaning into my own understanding. And that was one of the scriptures that really convicted me during that time. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Even as a very mature Christian, I knew that scripture, probably prayed that scripture, memorized it. As y'all can see, I can quote it, but functionally in my heart, I was not doing that. And I didn't realize it, again, till that pivotal moment in my grad school journey. Like I said, towards the end of it, I needed these internship hours, and things were just not going as planned. And I felt a lot of pressure because this is for a class, this is for my degree, which will impact me getting my marriage and family therapy license. So I'm like, this is not anything to play with. I have to get these things done. And so because things weren't happening in the time that I wanted them or expected them to happen, I started to feel impatient. I started to feel afraid. And instead of really talking to God about it, inquiring of the Lord, seeking the Lord, and ultimately trusting the Lord, I leaned into my own understanding. And in me leaning into my own understanding, you know what I did? I picked up a second internship. So after a couple of weeks, I had my full-time job. I had the class that I was taking at that time, and now I was starting to have clients at two different sites, two different internship sites in two different cities. One was in Charlotte and one was like an hour away from my home. So, I was doing both of those, and just in the midst of me trying to balance all that, it was too much, and it ended up hurting me more than it helped me. And it all started because I was trying to carry all those burdens and figure it out and do it all by myself. But once I realized what I was carrying and how detrimental it was for me and in my relationship with God, one thing I had to learn, and one thing I am still learning to do, is to surrender, to let go. And I think that's really important to emphasize and talk about when it comes to burdens, the burdens that we carry, because one, we can sometimes feel like those burdens are a part of us. We've been carrying it for so long that it feels like that we feel enmeshed or fused with it. This is my anxiety. This is my depression. This is, I'm super independent, right? That was me. This is part of my personality. This is who I am. This is what I do. But you really do have to sit back and again, evaluate, what am I carrying? And is this who I really am? And is this really something I have to carry? Or is this something that was passed down to me? Or is this something that I picked up along the way? This is how I learned to cope in this situation. Now I'm bringing it in that situation. And then once you, again, understand what those burdens are and where they came from and how they inhibit you, one of the hardest things to do is to let go of it, to lay it down, right? One, to acknowledge that you're carrying it, but two, to realize you can't carry it anymore and to let them go, right? Like, let's think, I don't know, you have luggage and you're going to a hotel, right? And the bellboy, the person that helps you, carry your bags, hey, you need some help? What do you say? Like, you can either acknowledge, yep, I have a lot of stuff. Yep, I would love some help. And then what do you have to do? You have to let go of it. You have to relinquish it. You got to acknowledge the fact that you have something, that you're carrying something, and you have to be brave enough to let it go. And ever since that moment, this was a while ago, but ever since acknowledging that that was a burden that I was carrying, it's been a whole process of surrendering my control. And people call it different things, like I'm a Christian. I know and love Jesus, and so I think about it in terms of surrender and faith. People who don't know Jesus, they might call it detachment. I've heard people talk a lot about detachment, which is a similar thing, detaching yourself from things that you can't control. I've heard of like the let them theory. It's a book and somebody that talks about that. I haven't explored it, but it sounds like it's the similar notion. And so when it comes to burdens, that is the next big step, is letting go. And so my question for you, if you have burdens that you're carrying, is what is getting in the way of you letting go of that burden, you surrendering that burden. I know for me, when it came to my hyper independence and my perfectionism, right? Trying to get these hours so I can graduate, so I can get my license, getting my hours, all that stuff. The fear is what kept me from letting go, or the fear is what I realized was causing me to cling to those things and try to control those things. Fear that I wouldn't have what I needed in time, I wouldn't have enough hours, fear that I would fail, fear that I would be left high and dry, fear that the Lord wouldn't take care of me or meet my needs, right? So I don't know what those things are for you, but I do encourage you, as you evaluate what your boundaries are, I encourage you to, boundaries, as you think about what your burdens are, also think about what is keeping you from letting them go. I said this at the end of my last video, but there's so much freedom and beauty in not only surrendering and letting go of your burdens, but allowing the Lord to have his way and take control, because he can do far more than you can do in your own strength. I'm gonna just give this one little quick story, and then I'm gonna hop off. But fast forward, number one, because I said I was gonna finish my story. I feel like I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry, y'all. Oh man. But with the hours, I was so nervous and so afraid of not getting enough internship hours when I was in graduate school. And after all this happened, and I'm like, Lord, help me with I don't want to be so hyper independent. I want to be fully dependent on you and trust you to take care of me and meet all of my needs. Not long after that, I just started to get a ton of hours from both sites, which was a start to become overwhelming. But the Lord provided what I need when I needed it. And had I been just a little bit more patient, he was going to meet my needs either way. But because I leaned into my own understanding, it made things it put more pressure on me that pressure that I didn't need on myself. But the Lord provided what I needed, and I didn't have to do anything extra to obtain it. He was going to take care of me and meet all of my needs, but I was just so afraid that it made things more difficult than they needed to be. But fast forward, I get my hours, get my license, get my degree, all that good stuff. And so the first job that I had coming out of graduate school, it was a challenge. The Lord provided it for a reason, but it was very stressful, and I could sense that eventually I was getting to the place where I knew this was not where the Lord wanted me to be long term. But I did not want to lean into my own understanding. I didn't want to take matters into my own hands and in fear make, a hasty decision and make things more difficult than they needed to be. So because of that, I'm like, Lord, I surrender. I need help. I'm not sure what to do. Please make a way. Give me clarity. Give me direction. And may you meet this need in a way that I cannot. And literally, like in the Lord's own time, he provided something in such a beautiful way, and I didn't have to do anything extra to obtain it or to get it. And it was something that I could not do on my own. It was great location, great environment, great pay. It's amazing. And that was just a lesson for me, or a testament of like what happens when you really give your burdens and cast all your cares onto the Lord and allow him to take care of everything else. It's like, yes, you may feel certain things, you might feel overwhelmed or you might feel stressed, but when you relinquish your control and allow God to have his way, he can do far more than you could do on your own or in your own strength. So I know this was all over the place. I hope it made sense, but I just wanted to again share the weight of burdens, how they hinder us, but how when we relinquish them, God truly does take care of everything in a way we could never possibly imagine. I'm going to have another article or blog post and then another video. I'm not sure when. I'm going to try to have something by this time next week, but stay tuned. Take care of yourself and be safe out there. Thanks for watching.